Yeah, so guys, draw closer a little bit. Tonight, to wrap up, we have a very special guest, and that is Linda Hurwitz with her husband Steve. Hi Steve, welcome to WOW. Linda is the immediate past chair of the National Women's Philanthropy of the Jewish Federations of North America. Wow. Wow. She served on the 2009 campaign chair for the Associated, that some of you might be familiar with, as well as the Young Women's Leadership Chair, Women's Department campaign chair, major gifts, new gifts and upgrade chair. I think the only thing she didn't do was actually become the executive director. Okay, Linda is a founding co-chair of the Ashkelon Partnership with Baltimore Sister City and serves as chair of the Associated Commission on Israel and Overseas. Linda is president of the board of trustees of Beth Tefillah and is the recipient of all 3 of the Associated Young Leadership Awards. Wow. That deserves a round of applause. Okay, so we just want to ask Linda to come down, tell us what she sees.
Okay, so thank you. What I see is an incredible group of our future here. I feel so blessed that I got to meet the Rabbi and hear about this incredible program called WOW. You might want to know how I am so involved, and I'd love to share with you that it stems from a moment, a spark, something that one of you might say to the other, that you connect, and all of a sudden you're shaking heads and finishing each other's sentences. So that's what happened to me, and I call them, when I was chair of the 2009 campaign at the Associated, I came up with a theme that I wanted to have throughout the campaign, and it was defining moments. Moments in your life that define your priorities, your character, your values. Why are you sitting in this lovely but sweaty, hot place to study? Why? Maybe it's because a moment will touch you about what each of you will say to each other that will inspire you to do a little more. And I think that's the purpose of WOW. It's to get you started, to whet your appetite, whether you work, from each other or from whatever, from this text, and then go beyond that. So I was a little girl at the age of 15 years old. My younger brother was being bar mitzvahed in Israel, so I went to Israel, and my father asked if we would like to go welcome have the most incredible experience, to go welcome a group of Jews from Russia coming to make Aliyah in Israel. And I said I would love to do that, that we would be the first Jews to welcome them into the homeland. I thought this would be incredible. But being 15 years old, my father said, I knew you'd love it, Linda, but it means that you would have to get up at 3 in the morning because the plane will be coming in. And I said, well, go ahead, Dad, and come back and tell me how it was. There's no way I'm getting up at 3 in the morning. So, of course, my father says, no, you're not going to miss this unbelievable opportunity. So I did go, but of course, like a 15-year-old, I'm sitting in the corner with one of those Blusina faces. You know what that means? One of those faces. When all of a sudden, the plane arrives, and these people come off this plane to start a new life in Israel. And lo and behold, there was one girl that I noticed coming off the plane. She could have been my sister. We looked exactly alike. She had dark hair, dark eyes. I was very skinny as a child. We were the exact same size. It was eerie. And as she came off that plane, I got out of my seat and we met each other. That was a moment in my life. I did not know what happened to me, but all of a sudden, this stranger, I wanted to convey to her that she had an entire people, the Jewish people, that was going to support her in her new life. Her name was Natasha. My name was Linda. That was the only word we could speak. Although I felt we were very much alike because we resembled each other, and my grandparents came from Russia, I knew we were very different. We could not speak the same language. We grew up oceans apart, and she was starting a new life in Israel, and I was just a visitor there at that point to go back home. But there was something in me that I had to make her realize that she had so much potential and that we as a people were supporting her. So I took a ring off my finger that I had been wearing since my bat mitzvah for 2 years, and I put it on her finger, hoping that she would understand that when she would look down at that ring, she would know that she had the love of an entire people behind her, and I was just one of those people that would support her in her new life. I never missed that ring. I knew that it meant much more being on Natasha's finger. This happened when I was 15 years old. Life went on. I went on, finished school, went on to college, nothing. When I got very involved in the Associated, they asked me to write something, a defining moment, something that made me, why do I want to give? Why does my husband and I want to give so much to our people, our time, our talent, our treasures, whatever we can do? And I wrote this story of Natasha. It came back to me years later. So all I'm saying is find your defining moments. Find that spark. Whether it's something that's happened in your past, now with your new Havruta, or in your future. To find something that inspires you, to make you realize, by being Jewish, you are given a gift. Just by being Jewish, you're given an entire people that feels responsible for each one of you. You're given a covenant just because you're Jewish. And you're given a homeland. A place that you will always... How many of you have ever been to Israel? Okay, some of us just off the plane. There's nothing like it. So I guess, if I had to say in a nutshell, find your passion. Find what makes you feel like your life can make a difference. Whatever it is. I have the gift of gab, as you can see. Okay? So, as a national chair, I traveled extensively speaking about my experiences, hoping other people will, not that I'm telling you this story so you will go back and tell, but it will spark a story of yours. Very often when I share a story, it makes you think of your own stories and what has happened, whether when you were 15 or whether you went to Israel or whether you met somebody who's made Aliyah. And these are the stories that we're the people. Our people are full of stories. I'm going to finish with one story, and it came to me just now. Sorry, repeat that up for me, do you mind? Why keep kosher? Okay, so the rabbi has provided all this text. And I'm going to take it home and read it, because my husband and I keep kosher, and if you ask me why I keep kosher, it would be hard for me to explain it. Now I'll be studying just like each of you. But I want to tell you another story. My son, who's just graduated from Beth Tefillah, also he keeps kosher. Now, my husband keeps strictly. I do not. Did not. Do not. One time I took my son out and I got a salad and it had chicken and cheese on it. And my son and I were across each other in a booth. He was about probably 16 years old maybe. And he says, Mom, I see you're eating chicken with cheese. Do you mind if I explain to you what I've learned in school? Why you should not mix meat and milk. So I said, of course, go ahead. And he goes on, he probably quoted all of this. 7 reasons from this, and the and I'm listening and listening, and then his final one was to me, and Mom, the last thing is, it would be important to me. And I said, Andrew, it would be important to you? Yes, Mom. He said, and it's a no-brainer. He came over, he was sitting across it with this side of the booth, he came over and sat next to me, put his arm around me, and said, thank you, Mom, and started to cry. And I said, Andrew, why are you crying? He says, Mom, I don't know. I said, think about it, sweetie. Why do you think you're crying? I had no idea. He says, because, Mom, I just made a difference. And I said, yes, you did. So make the difference. One by one by a group like the Rabbi is doing with WOW, me across the country. One by one, that's how we all make a difference. And I hope that as I share these stories with you, you think of your own stories and you make your own stories and create stories and defining moments for the rest of your life. Thank you.